Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you about this. So, we just had a new moon in Scorpio 2 days ago, and this energy is really about when we have, well, so each new moon, the sun and the moon are in the same sign. We also had Venus in Scorpio too. So, we've got a lot of Scorpio influences. We had that same day we had a solar eclipse. So we've really just been through this kind of shadow portal. This every time we have an eclipse, it's an opportunity to revisit anything that we have suppressed or anything that feels dormant inside of us, things that we might not have been aware of. And so what might be happening for you now, just as like the dust settles, is a perception change. So I would love to hear from you if something's really shifted for you, or if there's something like a niggling feeling, if there's been something bothering you and now it's just like so much like I just cannot handle this anymore. Like I'm not okay with this dynamic. It could be a dynamic with someone else outside of you. It could be a habit within you. But this is a time to really the big energy available is like looking at things like this is just not sustainable anymore. This doesn't function for me anymore. This doesn't support the life I'm creating for me. And being able to really create shift or a boundary or bringing something in that's going to support the functionality of what you need, to support the alignment with what you're working for. And someone said how, like, I always get really excited about Scorpio energy and shadow work, but I have a lot of Scorpio placements, so I'm really comfortable with this. But I want to kind of make it friendly. Like shadow, sometimes we say shadow work and it might sound scary, but this is where the gold is. And Scorpio is the archetypal alchemist of the zodiac. So the Scorpio wisdom is about what are the things that are holding you back the most? What are the things that are the hardest to change? What are the habits that you want that if you shifted them, things would be different? And what is the emotional attachment to it? Sometimes it's like this is my comfort, or really working with this is just too overwhelming because it brings up so much guilt and so much shame. So these are the things when we start to really dive into it, we have to work through these kind of emotional, like the stagnant emotional hardcore layers that have probably been there for a while. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? Because this is what I'm so excited about. I get so excited about shadow work because I remember probably around motherhood for me. My oldest is 12. So probably around the time I became a mother and it got I'll finish my sentence. So about the time I became a mother, I didn't notice, but my need for other people's approval was huge. And anyone who knows me from a long time, like people sometimes still say like, wow, like when I knew you a long time ago, you didn't care what anybody thought about you ever. But for some reason, when I became a mother, my care, the need for validation outside of myself was huge. And I found myself in these dynamics with people of needing approval, needing other people to give me directions, needing to have so much self-reassurance, and like I needed mothering. I myself went into like my archetypal child an archetypal child situation, which is really legitimate because I was a mother for the first time. I learned how to be, I started going into a whole lifestyle that I was unfamiliar with. and I wanted guidance, and the people that I was looking for guidance from gave me a lot of criticism, and I felt guilty. I felt a lack of worthiness. I struggled with self-esteem. My coping mechanisms were really unhealthy. So I went through this whole period of just needing validation and reassurance outside of myself. And I wasn't connected to myself. I was very fragmented. And so my whole journey of taking my power back is something that I really appreciate now. So, but that one, like, when I realized that I was stuck in a situation where I needed people's approval around me, and I also realized that there was certain people I was looking for approval that were never going to give me approval. In fact, that their lack of approval in my life made gave them a way of controlling me. So this is the juice, though. This is the good stuff. Okay, so when we realize, like, I remember having this moment of like, wow, I need everybody. I need people to approve of me. I am not capable of giving myself what I need, and I am looking outside of myself. That was my shadow. My shadow characteristics were, I need validation. I need every person to tell me I'm okay. And if someone criticizes me, wow. If someone gives me like a half, then I will obsess over it. And so my lack of ability to stand in my power, own my boundaries, have an original thought, do something by myself, for myself, like not being able to do those things, like, was creating all kinds of problems for me in my life. So the whole process of making like my desire, like, this is what I want, prioritizing my desire, which is another Scorpio aspect, to prioritize your desire. Scorpio is, it's not just heart energy. Scorpio is the sacral energy center. So it's the heart womb. It is, and then for men, any man watching, it's like, it's in my womb. It's like, what is my core primal desire? And so, like, that energy center is just below your navel, right above your perineum, right above your tailbone. So this area in the bottom part of your body, in the bottom part of your spine, below your spine, above your pelvic floor. This energy center, just saying, I'm going to prioritize what I want. I am going to be led by the things that make me feel good about myself. I'm going to surround myself with people who appreciate me. I have to be okay with myself. I have to make it okay. If someone doesn't like me, I have to be okay with that. And I can go through whatever process I need to, but I need to be the person to reassure myself and make myself okay with it. And even in work, I'm a bodywork therapist. So even if I go in and I give a session and I know that I did my best, and if it didn't work for if the person says something, or if I never see it, like, I have to be okay with, because that was another thing. I was like kind of obsessing about my work. I have to be okay with showing up, doing my best, and letting other people have their reaction and their response to me however they need. But I have to be the one to make myself okay. That was a process. That took me a few years. Maybe even 3 years, maybe a little less, but at least 2 years to really be okay with that. So, but it took me being so fed up with, like, the shadow thing that I had to, the perception thing was, I realized there are people in my life who want to control me. There's people in my life who have made a commitment to misunderstand me. I am obsessively giving people my power, hoping that I will be enough for them. That was the shadow that I had to face and that I had to own. I had to really be brutally honest with myself. I had to dig into that. I had to be okay with it. I didn't want to get into a shame spiral about how many years I've wasted trying to please people who are never going to be happy. And I did have, like, I did touch on that, but ultimately I had to be like understanding my good intention, which was to belong, to interact with people in a good way, to hope to be liked. So when doing our big shadow work too, it's really important to understand like our good intention. Like, I allowed this, or I engaged in this behavior, or I allowed this behavior in my life because of this reason. Like there was good intentions behind it. And but when we dig into the awareness, the things that Scorpio is showing us right now, like and there's still some dynamics, like relationship dynamics in my life that I feel like it's like I am not like right now I feel like personally I'm going through this thing where I just cannot listen to people's bullshit story. If someone's trying to sell me something, if someone's trying to pull me into their drama, like I have no patience for that. So I really am learning the art of being kind and setting boundaries with the stories I'm listening to. Like, oh, actually, you know what? This story is going in a different direction that I like. I don't have the mental capacity to sit and listen anymore. Okay, cool. See you. Like that's what I'm noticing is really coming up for me. There's a few other things, but I'll keep them private. But what is happening with this portal? I feel like we've gone like we're in this eclipse portal where we just had this solar eclipse, and then in less than 2 weeks we're gonna have a lunar eclipse. So we're in this time of like there's things that are coming to the surface that are showing us they're not functional, they're not sustainable, they do not serve us. And so we have the opportunity to really create a new flow, to shift, to set a boundary, to share our truth. While we're connected with our heart, doesn't necessarily mean we're getting in a fight. It's but sometimes it might look like it might look confrontational, but it doesn't have to be as dramatic as it could be. Okay? So it's like a perception though. We're having this time where we're seeing something in a new way, and we might be feeling it. Like our body is like, this is like not working for me anymore. I have more self-respect. I'm working on something, leading myself into a direction, and this is not going with me. This isn't sustainable for the life I'm creating. So I would love to hear your feedback, or you can share anything that you're comfortable with, just if this resonates, if there's something coming up for you that doesn't work, if you're working on shifting, if you're working on communicating, if you're working on more self-love, just so you can process through something new. Share anything below, and I'd love to keep the conversation going, and I'll come back soon to share more. Talk to you then.